So one of the most powerful things I have ever done for my own consistency was to define my minimum viable practice. And this is the smallest version of my commitment that still counts. So think about it as like the floor or like the bare minimum. Not the ideal version, but it's like the baseline, the floor. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Legal Yogi Podcast. I'm your host, Vanisha, and I'm so glad that you are here, that you're joining, especially if you're joining or returning after a little break you've had, a little reset time. Seriously, I'm very serious about that. That matters to me. So over the last couple of episodes, we have been on this arc together, if you will, this coming back. We did a meditation episode. If you haven't heard that, go back and take a listen. That was to help quiet the noise and get still. We did the 108 Sun Salutation episode, which is that beautiful, hard devotional practice of recommitting with the whole body. And now we're here at what I think is the most important. It's the most important conversation we're probably going to have of the three. This is the what happens after the reset. But before we get there, let's start with something good. I hope you all are doing well. Let's all take a quick moment here to think of something good. Actually, you know what? Let's take a pause. Let's inhale, deep breath in, maybe close your eyes. And breath out. Now think of your something good. Once you have it, share it with someone today. It can even be me. So tell me something good, y'all. I would love to hear it. Check in with me on Instagram at Legal Yogi Podcast. Or, honestly, any other way too. Email works. We have an email. It's legalyogipodcast@gmail.com. So you're welcome to email me as well if you would like to chat. So, okay, my something good. My something good is, it's probably going to be the obvious. So I am recording this the day after Memorial Day. And I just got back from a trip yesterday. So I went on a girls' trip to Mexico with my three best friends. We call ourselves the Quad. I'm pretty sure we've talked about the Quad many a time on the podcast. So we went to Mexico, and honestly, it was like the perfect girls' trip, minus the fact that we were sharing one room. But honestly, I think it made it even more perfect that we shared a room because we just got to connect. So like we all kind of live all over the place. One of us is married, one is in a serious long-term relationship and they live in New Mexico. And then we've got another one who's in a newer relationship. And then there's single Vanisha, but that's neither here nor there. We can talk about that another time too. But basically we're all kind of off doing our own things. And then we come back and we had time to get together in fellowship with one another. And I think something I really enjoyed this time was I put together a list of questions. I have been really into like asking deeper questions to people. And I think that I used the inspiration I got with dating to ask these deep questions to my girlfriends. Cause I'm like, I have known these girls forever. Like the Quad has officially been a Quad. We were named the Quad about 9 years ago. So like we've been rocking with each other for a long time. And then before that, we were all friends. Like I've known like one of them I've known since I was 11, and the other two I've known since high school. So like we've been rocking for many years together. But I realized I wanted to ask them deeper questions because there were just certain things that I like didn't know how they would respond. Or if I did, I'd be interested to get their take. You know, I have a way that I think they would respond or how I think they would answer, but I would like to know how they actually are. So this trip was that. It was equal parts fun. It was, what else was it? It was a little tiring. It was a little crazy. Their emotions flew. Night one, y'all, they had me crying. So it was a good, like, that's what you need for a good girls trip. You need kind of a little bit of everything. You probably also need a little bit of danger. And I don't really know if we had danger, Okay, actually, maybe there was a little danger. Y'all are going to laugh at me, but we were almost attacked by a lizard, and I'm afraid of anything that crawls. So that was a big, like, horrific moment to me. We were not actually attacked. I think he just wanted our food. But what ended up happening was that he was rude and he wouldn't listen. He kept advancing and we kept screaming. So that was the problem. But he did lick my speaker, but that's it. He didn't get deeper into our area. And then another one was, the Cody. So again, we were in Mexico. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Mexican animal, a Cody. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, someone please let me know because I don't speak Spanish. But these Codys look to me like a cross between an anteater and a raccoon. So they're like skinnier. They're like skinny. Honestly, they're low key kind of cute. They're like so ugly that they're cute, in my opinion. But what happened was that I almost got attacked by a Cody. I was laying. We were in a cabana. I was laying down on the bed. I was about to fall asleep, and I looked to my right, and all I see. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're about to get a really good show. If you're not watching on YouTube, maybe go watch this part on YouTube. But basically, all I see next to me is a Cody under a lawn chair, crouching, walking forward. And I just I scream. I scream. He freezes. And then he screams. And then he runs away. So that was the danger element of the girls' trip. All right. Well, back to our show. So we are talking about the last step of the reset today. The what happens next, if you will, because here's what people don't talk about, but the reset is the easy part, the meditation, the ritual, the declaration to yourself that you are back. Those feel good. Those feel like you're making momentum. But then what happens after that? Monday happens and your inbox happens and that deposition prep happens or standardized test prep happens or like the deal gears up to close and the reset starts to slip. So today we're talking about why we fall off our practices. Really why? Like not the surface level stuff. And more importantly, I want to talk about how to build something that actually holds for you. So it's not perfection. I am a perfectionist, y'all. Like I think I've mentioned this before. Like I am an Enneagram 1, which is the perfectionist. So like this one I feel. So we're not talking about perfection here. We are not talking about, a rigid routine that you will abandon in 3 weeks, but something real and tangible. So let me ask y'all something. When you originally fell off your practice, whatever the practice was for you, if it was yoga, journaling, working out, a new one, devotionals, listening to devotionals or reading devotionals if you're religious, or even just carving out like 5 minutes for yourself. What was the story you told yourself about it? For most of us, especially the high achieving women, the story goes a little something like this. I am not disciplined enough. I knew I couldn't stick with it. I always do this. And that story, that's a shame spiral. And so what about that? This is actually the number one reason that we don't come back sooner because we talk ourselves into this shame spiral. It's not the falling off that keeps us stuck. It's the meaning we make of the falling off. Ooh, that was good. That was a mic drop. I have definitely been there. Like I have had stretches where my mat collected dust because I couldn't find any time to make it to the mat, or I told myself I was too busy, I was too tired, I was too far gone. And what I ended up learning, both personally and from like professional, study of like neuroscience of habit, is that there's a gap between who you think you are and who your habits reflect. The in between here is the most painful place to live because it's a spectrum. So here's some genuinely good news though. So there's research on habit formation, which has consistently shown that missing something once, or honestly, even a few times in a row, has almost no meaningful impact on long-term habit strength. So what breaks habits isn't the gap, It's the decision you make about the gap. Yeah, I know. We're getting into this today. So behaviorally, we call this the abstinence violation effect. The moment you decide that because you missed something, you might as well just keep missing it. Does that sound familiar? It sounds familiar to me. It's the same reason that, like, for example, one slice of pizza might become 6 slices of pizza or the whole pizza, or one missed class becomes a month of missed classes or a month off the mat. I think it's also very easy if you think about those of us who go to like a specific workout class every week. So for me, I go to 7 a.m. Pilates on Friday. But however, something happened where I like couldn't make this 7 a.m. Pilates class. So then what happens? I missed that week. And then the next week is like, oh, I have this. I could do this instead. Like, oh, let me just miss again. And then it becomes a habit. So the antidote to this, like, what is the antidote? It's not willpower. Like, I can tell you, I got a lot of willpower over here, but it's not that. It's what I call a never miss twice philosophy. So you don't have to be perfect. You just can't make missing a habit. There's something specific here that I want to discuss about this. And especially for those of us in demanding careers. So our lawyers, our executives, our entrepreneurs, our teachers, our real estate agents, even those of us in sales, like anyone whose professional identity is built around performance and output. We often bring that same all or nothing energy into our wellness practices. So like, it's great. All or nothing energy is great in professional settings. Like, you're probably like doing great in your career, but bringing it into your wellness practice is not going to give you the same effect. You know, it's maybe like you're thinking, oh, if I can't do a full hour, like why bother? If I can't do the whole sequence, I'll just skip it. But that's standard. The one that serves us in a courtroom, a boardroom, a classroom, that actively works against us when we're trying to build a sustainable practice. I guess the most resilient practitioners I know aren't the ones who like never miss anything. They're the ones who have learned to show up imperfectly. Like 10 minutes counts. 3 rounds of sun salutations count. Lying on your mat, like literally rolling out your mat and just lying there and doing nothing, that counts. I used to listen to the Rachel Hollis podcast, and I loved when she would talk about like working out versus moving your body, how to change that mindset shift to moving your body rather than working out. Because then whenever you missed a day, you would kind of feel like you were failed. So rather than working out, she would say, move your body. And that could mean like one day, if you're not feeling it, maybe you go walking or maybe you stretch for 30 minutes. It was like a good mindset shift to make this more of like an identity rather than just like something. So you're making it a habit. You're going to move your body. So like presence, being present. Present counts more than performance. So what actually makes these practices stick? So it's not discipline, it's architecture. So let's reframe something that I think gets us into trouble. We talk about consistency like it is a character trait. Like some people just have it and some people just don't. That's not true. Consistency is a design problem. It's not a willpower problem. When I look at the practices that have genuinely like stuck in my life, and this is not the ones I like white knuckle through, but it's the ones that I feel like are actually mine. They all share the same structural features. So let's walk through them. Number 1, the anchor. Every durable habit that I have lives next to something that already exists. So habit researchers call this habit stacking. It's attaching a new behavior to an established one. Your existing routine is the anchor. Your existing whatever it is the anchor. So your practice hooks onto that. So whatever new practice you're introducing, that's going to hook onto it. So I've got 2 examples here. I have been working with a dietitian for about a year now, and she also talks about this version of habit stacking with your food. So if you want a snack, for example, maybe you want like popcorn as your snack, then that's fine, but you should incorporate something else. So your popcorn is your anchor, And you're going to want to incorporate something else to add more value to that snack. So maybe like something with higher protein. So an example she's given me recently was adding like a beef stick, because that's like several grams of protein there, whereas the popcorn has zero protein. But together they become a good snack. That was a good example. I like that. For me, my another example is going to be my Sunday classes. So I teach an R&B flow every Sunday at 6 p.m. If you are in Austin and you would like to practice with me, I teach at a studio called My Vinyasa Practice. You can show up or you can sign up online on MindBody, all of that stuff. I've been teaching this class for several years. I can't even remember how long I've been teaching the class. It's not something like it's so ingrained into my system that it's not something I'm scheduling anymore. Like to me, that is just what Sunday is. Sunday is the day I teach class. So it's anchored to the rhythm of my week. It's so deeply anchored in that skipping it would feel strange. And that didn't happen by accident. I deliberately made Sundays sacred before anything else could claim that time. And this is why almost all of my friends in general already know, like, not to ask me to do anything on a Sunday, because 99% of the time, I will almost always say no. This is also like why I've been able to add other active things to my Sundays in general. I work out with a trainer every Sunday at 10 a.m. And I was so easy to add that to my routine consistently because I already viewed Sunday as my day of movement. So like to add a workout was fine, even though like it may not be the best for other people, because that's a 2 a day basically. But for me, it truly only added more value to my Sunday by adding that workout on that day, because I knew with 100% certainty that I could always commit to it rather than finding another day during the week. Because for me, it's very hard for me to get away, Tuesday at 5 p.m. or Wednesday at 5 p.m. And like the trainers don't work late. So this was the best for me. So maybe you think about what your anchor is. So what time or ritual could whatever practice, whatever that is to you, what could it live beside? And then number 2, we've got the minimum viable practice. So one of the most powerful things I have ever done for my own consistency was to define my minimum viable practice. And this is the smallest version of my commitment that still counts. So think about it as like the floor or like the bare minimum, not the ideal version, but it's like the baseline, the floor. A good example of yoga is going to be my minimum viable practice is probably about 5 minutes of breath or a sun salutation or something that can be done in a short amount of time. Like that's it. Some days that's all I have to give. Or maybe it's reading from a yogic text like the Bhagavad Gita or a 5-minute legs up the wall. And you know what? Showing up for that 5 minutes, especially on the days when I don't like want to, or I feel like I don't have time to, has done more for my practice than any ambitious like 60-minute power flow session that I planned to go to, I signed up for, and then had to cancel at the last minute. And then I end up, paying money to cancel. Or if I don't pay money, it's still like I canceled it. So define your floor. Make it so accessible that saying no feels harder than saying yes. And make it enjoyable. For me, I tend to, if I only have 5 minutes to do something or 4 minutes to do something, I will add other things to it. So like maybe I want to lay on the acupressure mat. I'll do that while my legs are up the wall. Like just, that's creating that habit stacking. Number 3, the identity shift. This one is deeper, and I think it's the most important. So James Clear talks about this in his book, The Atomic Habits. It's the idea that the most durable changes happen when we shift from outcome-based thinking to identity-based thinking. Outcome-based thinking is technically a goal. And so if we want to think more about like what an identity-based thought is, it's I'm someone who moves their body and comes back to their breath. Like that's the identity-based thinking. That is your now identity. Goals can be abandoned. Identity is harder to shake. After 108 sun salutations, or after that devotional that you're reading in the morning, or the full body recommitment you did something to your identity after doing that. You proved to yourself that You are the kind of person who shows up for something hard. You can do hard things. And that evidence matters. So build on it. Number 4, the ritual container. So high achieving people do well with structure. We do. It's a fact of life. We do well. But often the structure we build for our professional lives is like completely absent from our personal practices. So we would never show up to a deposition without prep or standardized testing. Like you can't teach students without prepping. You have to lesson plan. Or real estate agents. You would never show up to show a house to your client without having done the research on your own to be able to give the specs on the house. But for some reason, we tend to like do things personal life. Like maybe you roll out the mat early in the morning, half asleep, and wonder why it doesn't feel like meaningful. Or you're just like scrolling as you're like walking on the treadmill or something like that. Like we just don't give the same energy to our personal practices. So give your practice a ritual container. Give it the same playlist, the same candle, the same opening breath, something that signals to your nervous system, this is that. This is the space where I come back to myself. That container makes the transition from busy professional to present human. And it makes it faster and easier every single time you use it. So an example of this is, I was actually alluding to this earlier, but I realized I needed to wait for this step. So sometimes I only have 5 minutes to give. And in those cases, I will maybe like do some kind of practice, some kind of yoga, or maybe I'm just doing legs up the wall. What I'll do is I'll play a song. So the same song. I know depending on the time I have, if I have 5 minutes, I'm playing That's the Way Love Goes by Janet Jackson. If you can't tell by now, I love Janet Jackson. So I will play that because that's about a 4.5-minute song. I'll listen to that while I do whatever it is I do. If I have about 10 minutes, I'll listen to Anytime, Any Place by Janet Jackson because it's about like a 9-minute song. So I know for sure those two will get me what I need. And that's the good little like container that you can build. The next step is the community thread. So accountability is real. We know this professionally. We know deadlines work. We know client communications work because there's someone else in the equation. There's someone else that you have to report to, whatever that is. Your wellness practice deserves the same kind of energy. So this doesn't have to mean, a formal accountability partner, which is great. If you have one, awesome. Like I know 2 of the quad, they are accountability partners in terms of eating well. Clearly, us other 2 aren't. We're also the other 2 that love sweets. So that's probably why we're not the accountability partners. But those 2 take pictures of their food. They drop it into they have like a shared album that we just got added to because I guess now we all need to eat healthy. But maybe that's something if you have an accountability partner. I mean, I'm still looking for an accountability partner, a friend, a workout friend. So if you need one, let me know. It could also just be like a community class that you love. So I have regulars that come to my Sunday R&B class every Sunday. And when they miss, I'm kind of like, oh, we missed you last week. And they'll be like, oh, I had something for my kid or something, like it's a really good way to keep up your accountability, even if it's like a low stakes way. Because I mean, who am I to judge why you didn't come last weekend? Whatever. I like to become regulars in classes for that reason. I want them to be like, oh, where were you last week? And because it helps me feel motivated to keep coming. Or maybe it's a podcast you listen to while you move. So something else I do is every time I walk my dog, I listen to the same 2 podcasts. I love the podcast She's So Lucky, used to be called Balanced Black Girl. I listen to that every time I walk my dog in the morning during the week because her episodes are super long, like they're an hour long. And personally, I think that's too long. So I have to split it up into like several walking sessions. But I also have my astrology teacher who I've been learning from for several years. She has a Vedic astrology podcast called Astrology Now. And her episodes are a little bit more manageable. Sometimes they're 15 minutes, sometimes they're 30. So that I'll also listen to on Fridays when she releases. And that's like good accountability for me. Or maybe you are of the social media camp. And I mean, you could share your movement on social media. Like the act of naming it publicly will make it more real. And I mean, you're also in this community right now. So again, I've been begging y'all to share with me. So maybe that's what you do. And that's like not just nothing. All right. So let's get practical because I don't want you to finish this episode feeling like inspired, ready to go forward, and then not know what to do with that inspiration. So I want you to leave with a framework, something you can actually use. So let's call it the reset protocol, which consists of three things. So step one, define your why again, because we're coming back, we're resetting. So define your why again. The why that got you here might not be the why that keeps you here. And that's okay, but you need a why. So write it down, not the aspirational version, but like the honest version. So my why at the moment is I want to move my body because I want to feel at home in my body. I talked to y'all about the hormonal weight gain I've experienced, all of that stuff, but it's more than that, like hair changed, face changed, all of it changed. So I just want to feel more at home in my body. And it's not because I should, it's not for aesthetics. Okay, it might be a little bit for aesthetics, but like when you look a certain way and then you change, it's hard to like manage those emotions. So like you want to get back. So like maybe I just want to get back to normal. And I know that when I'm consistent with my practice, I tend to feel more like myself because this is a hormonal like disorder that I have. And so there are things that need to be changed in order to get back to normal. So some of that is also taking time to calm the mind, taking time to lower the cortisol levels. So make better decisions. So I know that when I stick to these, I end up making better decisions. I sleep more. I'm more patient. I'm more present. So, like, what's your why? Like, get specific with it and then get honest with yourself. Step two, set your floor, not your ceiling. So, write down your minimum viable practice, the version you can do on your worst day. And this isn't lowering your standards, it's protecting your consistency. So on the good days, you'll do more. And on the hard days, you will still find a way to show up. So write it somewhere that you will see it. Put it in your phone or a sticky note on your mirror or in your bathroom or in your car. Just make it real. Step three, choose your anchor. Identify one existing routine that your practice can live beside. So maybe it's your morning coffee, your morning commute, your Sunday evenings, wherever there's already a groove in your week. That's where your practice goes. So for example, I have been waking up earlier and like taking time to just have a coffee, like taking time on my own and just having a coffee. And what I've been doing with that is I'm also trying to reset my lymphatic system to get my lymphatic system moving. So I'm set up for the day. I guess I'm very interested in lymphatic drainage right now. So we're going to talk about that, I think, in the next couple episodes. So what I've started doing is I've been standing on, I have a vibration plate. So, and I have been using this vibration plate for like 6 years, y'all. So I'm an OG vibration girl. And we're going to talk about that too soon. But basically, I have started coupling the morning coffee because I wasn't really doing anything with the morning coffee. I was kind of just like laying in bed with my dog. So I started like getting out of bed, going to my office. This is where my vibration plate lives. So I'll like raise the desk, stand on the plate, drink the coffee, and I'm shaking to get the lymph moving around. But I've also started adding in checking email to that, which may or may not be a good habit, but it's a good habit for me because then I go to the office and I'm not stressed. So that's kind of how I've coupled everything. I've put it all in one little bow because it's only 10 minutes. And I was already doing like a 10 to 15 minute coffee, like lay down, listening to NPR. So now it's just, I'm doing it here in the office. I've got time. It's also giving me a nice little like check. I've done something for the day. So like think about how you can stack up your habits. I wanted to talk about my commute as well, because I have oftentimes, if I'm really needing it, I will listen to a meditation on my way to work or on my way home from work. So think about maybe you can do something like that as well. Just like finding a place where you already have a practice and then you can add something to enhance that practice. So here's my ask. Don't negotiate with yourself about this. Like not this week. just show up for the anchor. And then every time you show up, think about think of it as that you're casting a vote for who you are. So you want to show up. You need to show up. You need to just do the thing. This is adding to your identity. So you're casting a vote for who you are. Well, I'm going to leave you with this. The fact that you came back after the pause, after the gap, whatever yours looked like, is not a small thing. It is actually everything because the practice was always there. It didn't leave you. You just got busy being human. And if you're listening to this episode right now, then you're already back and you just need to stay. The meditation gave you stillness. The 108 sun salutations gave you your body back. However you felt in your body came back. And this is just the map. So use it. Thank you, my friends. That is all I have for you today. If you found this episode helpful, please share this episode with someone you think would also benefit. Or better yet, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button on your screen. If you would like to stay in the loop on all things the Legal Yogi Podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at Legal Yogi Podcast, or you can follow me at legally_yogi. We'll tune in next time. But until then, thank you for listening. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be strong, and may you be free. Namaste.